In every cubic meter of space there is energy that no instrument can touch. It does nothing, and yet it pushes everything apart. It stretches galaxies, silences gravity, and rewrites the fate of all things. If this unseen energy keeps accelerating expansion, the universe will never stop growing. Galaxies will drift beyond sight, stars will fade one by one, and the sky will turn black. The very mechanism that preserves motion will also erase all connection. What kind of energy makes the universe larger, yet emptier? Why does a force that sustains creation also guarantee its death? And can understanding it reveal what reality truly is? To explore dark energy, we begin not in theory, but in silence, the night sky itself. For centuries, the stars seemed fixed, eternal, perfectly balanced between gravity and stillness. Then, a single discovery in the late 20th century shattered that peace. The cosmos was not slowing down, it was running away from itself. In the final years of the 20th century, two teams of astronomers turned their telescopes toward the dying light of distant stars. These stars were special. Each one ended its life in a blinding explosion called a Type 1a supernova, bright enough to outshine entire galaxies. Because every such supernova releases nearly the same amount of energy, it can be used as a cosmic ruler. By comparing its true brightness with how dim it appears from Earth, astronomers can measure how far away it lies. When those measurements returned, they carried a quiet shock. The supernovae were fainter than expected, farther than any model allowed. The universe was not slowing down under the pull of gravity. It was speeding up. Something unseen, spread everywhere, was driving galaxies apart faster and faster. For decades, scientists had assumed that gravity would slow expansion, perhaps even reverse it one day. But these faint lights said otherwise. The cosmos was not easing into balance. It was accelerating into solitude. Pause, and imagine this scale. Every galaxy, every cluster of stars, is moving away from every other. The farther a galaxy lies, the faster it recedes. This is not motion through space, but motion of space itself. The silent stretching of the cosmic fabric. Distances between galaxies double over unimaginable spans of time, yet nearby, gravity still holds. Atoms remain bound. The Earth orbits its sun. The Milky Way stays whole. Expansion does not tear the small things apart. It dilutes the vastness between them. Astronomers named the unknown cause of this acceleration dark energy. It has no colour, no mass, no direction. It fills the vacuum uniformly, invisible, yet powerful enough to shape the destiny of everything that exists. It behaves as if gravity were reversed, a pressure that pushes rather than pulls. To picture it, imagine dots drawn on the surface of a balloon. Each dot is a galaxy. As the balloon inflates, every dot moves away from every other, not because it travels, but because the surface between them expands. There is no centre and no edge. The energy that drives this expansion is not coming from beyond the universe. It arises from the vacuum itself. Empty space contains an intrinsic energy, woven into its very geometry. Einstein once wrote this idea into his equations, then removed it, calling it his greatest mistake. Decades later, the evidence proved he had been right. The universe accelerates not because it is full, but because it is empty. If dark energy fills all space, then the future will be ruled not by matter, but by emptiness. As the universe grows, matter thins. Stars burn out, radiation stretches into wavelengths too long to detect. Galaxies drift beyond sight until only our small local group remains visible. In time, the night sky will go dark. Telescopes of the far future will see no other galaxies, no trace of expansion. The universe will appear still, but only because its motion will have outrun light itself. Expansion becomes isolation, and yet there is beauty in this quiet. It tells us that the universe is alive in time, that even emptiness changes. It breathes endlessly. It grows by creating space for itself to exist. Imagine a being born in that distant future, when the cosmos has stretched beyond memory. They would gaze into darkness and see only their own galaxy, suspended in silence. They would believe it was the entire universe. They would never know what once was. Dark energy does not just shape matter, it shapes memory. As expansion continues, information slips beyond the horizon. The past becomes unreachable not only by time but by distance itself. The more the universe grows, the less it remembers, and yet here and now, we can still measure that growth. We can chart its speed, its pressure, its quiet strength. Almost everything that exists is part of this invisible field. Only a small fraction of the cosmos is made of the matter we know. We live in a universe where the unseen outweighs the seen. What we can touch and measure is only a fragment, surrounded by a vast and steady energy that moves everything apart. This is how the story begins. A universe that accelerates because its emptiness has power. A cosmos that survives by forgetting. And a future that grows quieter as it expands. To understand what dark energy is, we must begin with what it is not. It is not a substance floating through space. It is not a wind that blows galaxies apart. It is the property of space itself, a hidden tension built into the structure of reality. When physicists describe the vacuum, they no longer mean emptiness. Quantum theory shows that even the quietest space flickers with brief, invisible activity. Particles appear and vanish too quickly to observe, yet each momentary pulse leaves behind a trace of energy. Those traces never disappear completely. They fill every corner of the universe. If we sum that energy across all of space, it should be enormous. Yet when astronomers measure the real expansion of the cosmos, the energy they infer is incredibly faint. The difference between prediction and observation is so vast that it defies comprehension. Something is cancelling almost everything, leaving only a delicate remainder. And that faint remainder is enough to decide the fate of everything. Dark energy acts evenly in all directions. Every region of space experiences the same pressure. That pressure resists gravity and stretches the universe. As space expands, new space forms, carrying the same hidden energy within it. Expansion sustains itself. Picture stretching a rubber sheet that somehow creates more of itself as you pull. Each new patch carries the same tension, perfectly uniform. No part weakens. The stretching never ends. This is the mechanism by which the universe evolves, not through explosions or collisions, but through the steady growth of emptiness. It is motion without movement, power without force. Space simply continues to make more of itself. In the early universe, gravity was strong. Galaxies and clusters of matter gathered together, and their pull slowed the expansion. But as the cosmos grew larger, its matter thinned, and gravity's hold weakened. Eventually, the quiet pressure of dark energy became stronger than the attraction of matter. From that moment onward, acceleration began. The balance has been shifting ever since. Each second, expansion grows a little faster. Not enough to notice within a human lifetime, but enough to rewrite the future. In the far distance of time, dark energy will rule completely. It is a strange power. Constant, patient, and everywhere. It does not consume, it does not decay, it simply persists. If it were slightly weaker, gravity might one day pull the universe back into itself. If it were stronger, expansion might tear matter apart. Somehow, it sits precisely between those outcomes, a balance that seems almost impossible. No theory yet explains why. To measure it, scientists study distant light. They examine how galaxies move, how radiation bends, how clusters form. All the evidence agrees. Expansion is real and accelerating, but the cause remains unseen. The most powerful force in the universe may be nothing at all. Einstein's equations allow for such a possibility. He called it the cosmological constant, a term that adds a steady pressure to space-time. When positive, it makes the universe expand faster. When negative, it makes it contract. Observations show that the positive case is true. Space itself is gently repelling everything within it. Perhaps dark energy is that constant. Perhaps it is something deeper, a dynamic field that changes slowly with time. We do not know, but we can feel its effect written into every distance we measure, every galaxy we see receding from us. On the scale of the universe, this expansion defines destiny. On the scale of life, it defines perspective. We cannot feel it in our bodies or see it in the night sky, but it surrounds us all the same, an invisible architecture beneath reality. Dark energy is the quiet engine of eternity, a pulse in emptiness, a law without a source, a reminder that even nothingness can have structure. The deeper we study dark energy, the more it refuses to fit within simple logic. It creates expansion, yet it also guarantees emptiness. It preserves the universe, yet it erases its connections. The same force that sustains existence is the one that makes it lonely. Every known force fades with distance. Gravity weakens, magnetism vanishes, light dims. But dark energy does not fade. It stays constant, indifferent to scale or distance. That permanence is what drives the universe toward isolation. If it never weakens, expansion never ends. If expansion never ends, galaxies drift so far apart that they can no longer see one another. The future becomes a desert of light, stretched too thin to cross the void. Motion survives, but meaning dissolves. Imagine pouring a single drop of ink into an endless sea that keeps expanding. At first, the colour spreads in graceful patterns. Then, as the sea grows, the colour fades. Eventually, all trace of it disappears. That is what dark energy does to matter, and to memory. Perfection, in the universe, means disappearance. It is a law without mercy and without cruelty, only balance. The universe cannot collapse because of it, but it can never stay whole. It keeps existence intact by pulling everything apart. It saves creation from destruction only by ensuring that nothing remains together. Scientists describe this with quiet precision, yet behind their words is unease. They can measure how fast the universe expands, but not why it expands that way. If dark energy is constant, expansion will continue forever. If it changes, the cosmos could collapse or tear itself apart. Reality, it seems, walks a narrow path between extremes. No one knows why the balance is so exact. We live in a brief moment when the forces of matter and the pressure of dark energy are comparable. In the future, only one will remain. Expansion will hide the evidence of its own cause. The universe will grow so fast that it will erase the story of how it began. A universe that reveals its secret only once. This paradox is not limited to physics. It echoes through understanding itself. The more we learn about the cosmos, the more we realize how much will be lost. The light we study today will one day fade beyond reach. The galaxies that taught us will disappear from sight. The record of reality will narrow until only silence remains. Every act of discovery becomes an act of preservation, a way of remembering what the universe itself will forget. Each measurement we make is a photograph taken before the stars drift away. Knowledge is a form of resistance against the coming blankness, and yet there is calm in this realization. The universe is not ending. It is continuing in its only possible way. Expansion is not destruction. It is transformation. From connection to distance, from presence to memory. What disappears is not lost, only unreachable. We move through life in much the same way. Each moment stretches behind us, growing thinner with time. We gather meaning, even as the past recedes beyond touch. We too live in acceleration. We expand through time, leaving trails of light that fade. Dark energy is not against life. It is the pattern that life arises within, the same expansion that makes space for everything to exist and for everything to pass. To last forever, the universe must become empty, and in that emptiness, there is peace. The galaxies drift apart, yet the universe remains whole. The stars fade, but the law continues. Understanding this paradox brings a kind of quiet clarity. Dark energy is not good or bad. It is not destiny or design. It is simply the geometry of reality, unfolding without intention. The universe expands because space has the freedom to do so. There is nothing to restrain it, nothing to hold it back. Expansion is the natural expression of emptiness, the way stillness breathes. When we describe this through science, we speak of energy density, curvature, and pressure. When we feel it through reflection, we sense something simpler, a rhythm too vast for measure, a pulse that moves through everything without sound. We can trace its effect, but not its origin. We can describe its influence, but not its reason. And perhaps that is what dark energy finally teaches us, that not all understanding leads to control. Some truths only lead to calm acceptance. Emptiness is not absence. It is a form of presence so complete that it needs nothing else to exist. The vacuum, once thought of as nothing, turns out to hold everything. The energy that carries the universe forward, the quiet motion that defines its shape. Imagine standing at the edge of the observable universe, looking outward into what seems to be nothing. There is no border to cross, no end to reach. Beyond lies only more of the same, space making more space, endlessly, without source or center. Infinity has no direction, it only continues. As the universe grows, it cools. Stars fade, black holes evaporate, matter thins into faint dust. The sky of the far future will be dark, but even in that darkness, there will remain the low hum of ancient light, a whisper of warmth stretched thin across eternity. Dark energy will still be there, unchanging, patient, silent. There will be no eyes left to measure it, no stars to frame it. And yet it will endure, a quiet heartbeat in the fabric of nothingness. From a human view, this feels like an ending. From nature's view, it is completion. Everything that begins must transform. Dark energy is transformation itself, a slow unfolding that preserves balance through change. Knowledge grows in the same way. Each discovery expands the boundary of the known, but also reveals the immensity of what remains unseen. Science, like the cosmos, expands faster the further it reaches. It creates understanding, and with it, distance, between what we can explain and what we can only accept. The universe will end in silence. But silence is also continuation. If emptiness drives creation, then what gives emptiness its own energy? After the discovery that the universe was accelerating, astronomers began to map how that acceleration changed through time. They looked backward, tracing the oldest light that still reached us, light that began its journey when the universe was young. Every photon that arrives today carries a memory of how fast space was expanding when it left its source. By reading those memories, scientists built a timeline of cosmic evolution. In its youth, the universe expanded rapidly, then slowed as gravity pulled matter together. Galaxies formed, stars ignited, and great clusters took shape across the dark. For billions of years, gravity ruled. Then, slowly, the balance shifted. Dark energy began to dominate. The universe changed tempo. At first, the difference was subtle, almost invisible. But over vast spans of time, the shift became fate. Gravity's influence weakened as matter spread thin, and the steady pressure of dark energy became the main rhythm of existence. It is as if the cosmos began with percussion, the deep drums of gravity shaping structure, and now plays only a single sustained note, the hum of expansion. That tone will last forever. It will not fade. The future of the universe is not chaos, but silence. The evidence for this change lies in the cosmic background of radiation that still fills space. It is the oldest light, the afterglow of the universe's birth, stretched into microwaves by billions of years of expansion. In that faint haze, scientists can still see the ripples left by gravity's hand, the imprint of the early cosmos before dark energy began to rule. Comparing that ancient pattern with the smoother universe we observe today reveals what has happened. Structure has slowed. Expansion has quickened. This transition, the moment when dark energy overtook matter, marks the turning point of history. Before it, galaxies gathered. After it, they drifted apart for good. Every night sky since then has been slightly emptier, every distance slightly longer. Even now, the process continues. Every second, more space appears between galaxies. Each new stretch of distance carries the same unseen pressure, the same quiet persistence that defines everything. Imagine the night sky of that transitional age, galaxies shining close enough to fill the darkness with connection, light travelling freely between them, weaving a network of exchange. Then, slowly, the threads stretch. Signals take longer to arrive. Darkness begins to fill the gaps. The sky thins, the silence deepens. Connection fades not through destruction, but through distance. The laws that created galaxies also ensure their eventual separation. The same gravity that built stars now surrenders to expansion. Everything stable is temporary. The pattern of change is the only permanence. On the scale of atoms and worlds, the universe feels steady. Our lives unfold in a small pocket of calm. But beneath that stability lies an accelerating frame. Every movement, every heartbeat, happens within a space that grows wider with each passing moment. As expansion continues, even time itself changes character. Light travels farther to cross the same distances. Events take longer to connect. The visible universe shrinks to each observer's private horizon. Space grows older, yet every horizon grows younger, forever retreating, forever new. This is evolution in the cosmic sense, not toward complexity, but toward stillness. The universe exhales endlessly. We live in the middle of that breath, able to look back to the deep past, able to imagine the quiet future. The story of evolution here is not survival or struggle, it is transformation of scale. From brightness to distance, from gathering to drifting, from noise to silence. And through it all, dark energy remains the conductor, unchanging, unseen, and absolute. To understand how the universe evolves under the rule of dark energy, we must imagine two great forces in constant dialogue. Gravity gathers, dark energy disperses. For a long while, gravity spoke louder, shaping galaxies from clouds of gas, bending light, and building the cosmic web. But as space grew and matter thinned, its voice faded. The whisper of dark energy became the dominant sound of the universe. Dark energy acts with perfect evenness. It has no direction, no center, no point of origin. Its strength does not depend on distance or density. It fills every part of space with the same quiet pressure. And as space expands, new space appears, carrying the same pressure with it. This is how acceleration sustains itself. Expansion creates more room for expansion to continue. It feeds on the very emptiness it produces. The process has no beginning and no end, only continuity. Imagine a field that grows by the act of stretching. Each movement makes more ground for itself, and every new patch of earth carries the same hidden tension. The growth never tires, never slows, never needs fuel. It simply persists. In the language of physics, the geometry of space-time tells matter how to move, and the presence of energy, even the energy of emptiness, tells space-time how to curve. Together, they form a perfect loop. Where there is vacuum, there is curvature. Where there is curvature, there is motion. And where there is motion, there is time. Dark energy does not push galaxies the way wind pushes sails. Instead, it changes the fabric through which galaxies move. The space between them stretches, carrying everything outward, evenly, without effort. The galaxies are not travelling into new space. New space is appearing between them. Over ages beyond measure, the density of matter drops. The light of stars thins, the gaps widen, and the great structures of the universe begin to fade into isolation. The process is smooth, without explosion or noise. Everything simply drifts apart. Creation ends not with destruction, but with distance. To confirm this picture, scientists measure light from distant galaxies and the afterglow of the universe's beginning. They find that expansion has quickened gently but steadily. It follows the same equation everywhere, as though written into the bones of reality itself. Space behaves like a living fabric that grows at its own pace, unaffected by what it contains. If we could watch the cosmos in slow motion, we would see the great filaments of galaxies stretch like threads drawn taut. Clusters drift apart while keeping their shape, and every 1,000 million years the picture grows larger but thinner. The universe does not change what it is, it only changes how far it reaches. The universe evolves, not by becoming new, but by becoming wider. This is the quiet mechanism of dark energy. It is a law without event, a rhythm without edge. In living systems, evolution creates complexity. In the cosmos, evolution creates emptiness. Both follow the same principle. They move towards stability. But in the universe, stability means silence. Every atom, every planet, every beam of light participates in this motion. Even the spaces between thoughts unfold within it. Dark energy shapes the background of all change, and through it, everything endures by drifting. What seems empty is not nothing. It is the frame that holds all things together by allowing them to move apart. The universe grows because its emptiness is active, and that quiet activity is the simplest, most profound form of order. The more we understand the smoothness of dark energy, the more its paradox reveals itself. It creates order, yet leads to disappearance. It holds the universe together, yet ensures that everything drifts apart. The same stillness that stabilizes the cosmos also guarantees its eventual solitude. Every other force fades as it spreads. Light dims, gravity weakens, even the bonds of matter can break. But dark energy does not fade. Its strength is the same everywhere, now and forever. That constancy is what makes it so strange, and so final.
If it never weakens, the expansion never ends. If expansion never ends, every connection will one day dissolve. The galaxies we see tonight will vanish beyond the reach of any light or memory. Distance itself will become the horizon of knowledge. Imagine releasing a drop of ink into an ocean that never stops growing. At first, the colour flows and dances. Then, as the water spreads, the colour thins until the ocean becomes perfectly clear. The ink remains, but so evenly mixed that it is indistinguishable from the water. That is what dark energy is doing to the universe. Perfection in physics means balance. Perfection in the cosmos means emptiness. The same law that prevents the universe from collapsing also prevents it from ever resting in unity. It is the quiet contradiction written into the structure of everything. Preservation through separation, stability through motion. If dark energy were slightly weaker, gravity might one day pull everything back together. If it was slightly stronger, the expansion might tear atoms apart. Instead, it stays poised between those fates, exact enough for stars to live, inevitable enough for them to die. This balance has no known reason. It simply is. We live in the narrow interval when both forces are visible, when galaxies still shine and dark energy has not yet erased their light. One day that balance will end, and the sky will no longer hold the evidence of its own beginning. The universe will hide its story from itself. It will remember nothing of its origin, a universe that reveals its truth only once. This paradox is not confined to matter or motion. It belongs also to knowledge. The more the universe expands, the more it forgets. The light that carries information stretches until it can no longer reach us. Each horizon removes a layer of memory. Science is our attempt to remember before forgetting begins. Every observation is an act of rescue, a way of saving what the universe itself is letting go. Each measurement captures a pattern that will one day vanish into the long dark. To know is to preserve the trace of what cannot stay. And yet there is calm in this understanding. Dark energy is not destruction, but process. It does not break the universe. It maintains it by allowing it to continue changing. The cost of endurance is separation. The price of forever is forgetting. We too live inside that rhythm. We move through time gathering memories, while every moment stretches away behind us, growing dim and unreachable. We expand through experience and call that expansion life. Dark energy is not against life. It is the condition that makes life possible, the silent architecture that gives space for creation and space for loss. To last forever, the universe must become empty, and in that emptiness, there is peace. The galaxies drift apart, yet the whole remains. The stars fade, but the law continues. Understanding this paradox brings stillness to thought. Dark energy is not purpose or punishment. It is not the hand of destiny. It is the quiet rule of reality, a property of existence itself. The universe expands because nothing prevents it. Space does what space is allowed to do. When freed from the weight of matter, it stretches. That stretching is not violence but release, a calm unfolding of what has always been possible. Science describes this in precise language, equations, parameters, constants. But beneath those symbols lies something simple. Emptiness has structure. The vacuum is not hollow, it carries energy, and that energy defines the shape of everything. We can describe how it works, but not why it exists. We can measure its pressure, but its meaning remains beyond measure. To know that is to feel the limit of understanding, a moment not of ignorance, but of humility. Emptiness is not absence. It is a kind of presence that needs nothing to be complete. Everywhere, even between atoms, that quiet energy hums. It does not move, yet it moves all things. It is both background and cause. Imagine standing on the edge of what can be seen. There is no horizon to cross, only more of the same. Each step forward reveals nothing new, and yet the act of stepping makes space for more steps. The universe grows through the act of being. It expands because existence continues. Infinity has no direction. it only continues. As the universe grows older, it grows colder. The stars fade, the black holes evaporate, and matter thins until it becomes dust in the dark. The sky will not end in fire, but in the long whisper of stretched light, faint and eternal. Dark energy will still remain, unchanging, unhurried, unobserved. It will fill the void with the same quiet persistence, holding the universe open even when no one is there to see it. It will not stop, because stopping has no meaning to it. From our point of view, this feels like an ending. From the universe's point of view, it is equilibrium. Every beginning leads toward balance. Every creation finds its rest in stillness. Dark energy is that stillness. It is the final symmetry of nature, where motion and silence are one and the same. It teaches that to exist is also to fade, and that fading is not failure, but fulfillment. Knowledge grows the same way the universe expands. Each discovery pushes the edge of understanding outward, revealing a wider field of unknowns beyond it. The more we know, the more vast the silence becomes. Science, too, is an expansion, of clarity and of mystery at once. The universe will end in silence, but silence is also continuation. If emptiness drives creation, then what gives emptiness its own energy? After the realization that dark energy ruled the cosmos, scientists began to trace how its influence unfolded through time. They looked backward, following light that had travelled across the ages. Every beam carried the memory of how fast the universe was expanding when it began its journey. From those memories, a timeline emerged, a record of the universe learning to let go. In the beginning, matter was dense and bright. Gravity shaped everything, gathering gas into stars and stars into galaxies. The universe was young, loud, and full of formation. Over time, gravity's hold began to weaken. The spaces between clusters grew wider. Dark energy took the lead. The change was gentle, almost invisible, but over eons it became the universe's main rhythm. Gravity's deep pulse softened. The quiet pressure of expansion became the prevailing tone. It is as if the cosmos began as a grand symphony of gathering, then slowly reduced itself to a single, steady note. That note is the hum of dark energy, constant, uniform, endless. The future of the universe is not chaos, it is silence. Evidence for this transformation still lingers in the cosmic background light, the faint radiation left from the first fire. Within that glow are tiny patterns, the fossilized fingerprints of gravity's early work. Comparing those ripples with the smoother structure of today's universe reveals what has changed. Structure has slowed. Expansion has quickened. The transition was subtle but absolute, a crossing from a universe ruled by matter to a universe ruled by emptiness. Before that crossing, galaxies grew closer. After it, they began their slow separation forever. Each night sky since then has been slightly more spacious, each moment slightly quieter. Even now, that process continues. Every second, more space is born between distant galaxies. Each new distance carries the same invisible tension that drives all things apart. The expansion is steady, tireless, and precise. Picture the night sky during that cosmic transition. Galaxies shining close together, their light weaving a net of connection. Signals of formation still passing between them. Then, slowly, the gaps widen. Light takes longer to travel. Darkness seeps in between the stars. The universe begins to breathe out. Connection fades, not through violence, but through distance. The laws that created the stars also ensure their solitude. Gravity and expansion are two sides of the same law, opposing yet inseparable. Every structure that forms is destined to dissolve, yet the pattern of change itself endures. On our human scale, the world seems steady. Mountains hold their shape, atoms keep their bonds. But beneath that calm lies an accelerating foundation. Every action unfolds within a space that stretches as it happens. We live our entire lives inside motion we cannot feel. As the universe grows older, even time behaves differently. Light travels farther to cross the same distance. Events lose contact. To any observer, the visible cosmos appears smaller with each passing age. Each horizon becomes a private boundary, a personal window into an ever-widening silence. This is what evolution means for the universe. Not progress, but expansion. Not complexity, but continuation. The universe does not climb towards something new.
It spreads into what already is.
It exhales endlessly. We live in the middle of that breath, able to look back to the first light, able to imagine the last. Our moment is brief, but our awareness is vast. The story of cosmic evolution is not one of survival. It is one of transformation. From brightness to distance, from gathering to drifting, from song to silence. And through it all, dark energy remains the unseen conductor, constant patient, absolute. To understand how the universe evolves under dark energy, we must look at the relationship between gravity and expansion. Gravity pulls together, expansion pulls apart. For most of cosmic history, gravity had the stronger voice. It gathered matter into galaxies and stars, shaping the web of the visible universe. But gravity depends on matter, and matter grows thinner as the universe expands. Over time, gravity weakens, and the soft pressure of dark energy begins to lead. This shift is not sudden. It is slow, smooth, and absolute. Dark energy has no direction, no center, no edges. Its strength is the same everywhere, like a quiet field that never changes. As space grows, more of that field appears, and every new region of space carries the same energy within it. The expansion feeds on itself. It is not a force that pushes. It is the way space behaves when nothing resists it. Expansion is not movement through space. It is the creation of more space. Imagine a sheet stretching evenly in all directions. No thread tears, no hole forms. Each stretch creates more of the same material, infinite and calm. This is what dark energy does to the fabric of reality. The laws of physics describe this relationship with quiet precision. Space tells matter how to move. Energy tells space how to curve. Curvature gives birth to motion, and motion gives birth to time. In this way, dark energy is not separate from time itself. As the universe expands, time expands with it. Moments lengthen. Light takes longer to cross between galaxies. Every signal grows fainter. The rhythm of reality slows while the space within it continues to grow. This is how the universe evolves under dark energy. Not by changing what it is, but by stretching what it already has. The pattern of galaxies remains, only the scale changes. Every structure grows farther apart, and in doing so, the universe preserves its form even as it dissolves its connections. If we could look at the cosmos from outside time, we would see a single image expanding in perfect silence. No explosions, no boundaries, no end. Only a still unfolding. Creation ends not with collapse, but with distance. To confirm this truth, scientists read the faint signals left in starlight. They measure how galaxies move, how light bends, how background radiation cools. Every observation tells the same story. Expansion continues, and the energy behind it remains unchanged. If we could take two snapshots of the universe, separated by ages, we would find the same cosmic web, the same filaments of matter, the same great voids, but stretched wider across the frame. The universe does not renew itself, it repeats itself on a larger scale. The universe evolves not by becoming new, but by becoming wider. This quiet process redefines what evolution means. For life, evolution means growing more complex. For the cosmos, it means growing more empty. Yet both obey the same law, to seek balance. And balance, for the universe, is silence. Every atom, every planet, every ray of light participates in this motion. The galaxies drift. The stars burn. The vacuum itself hums with steady pressure. All of it moves within the same hidden rhythm. The universe grows because its emptiness is active. And that invisible activity, quiet, patient, endless, is the most fundamental order there is. The more clearly we see how dark energy guides the universe, the more we meet its paradox. It brings order, yet it ensures disappearance. It holds everything together, yet it drives everything apart. The same calm that preserves the cosmos also empties it. All other forces grow weaker as they spread. Light dims, gravity fades. Even the strongest bonds in matter can break. But dark energy does not fade. Its strength is constant, eternal, and uniform. That constancy is what makes it both simple and impossible. If it never weakens, the expansion never ends. If expansion never ends, then one day every connection will vanish. The galaxies will drift beyond sight, and the universe will become a sea without shores, a silence that no light can cross. Imagine a drop of ink falling into an ocean that expands forever. At first, the colour swirls, spreading through the water. Then, as the ocean widens, the colour thins. It does not disappear, it becomes too subtle to see. That is what dark energy does to the universe. In physics, perfection means symmetry. In the cosmos, perfection means emptiness. The same law that prevents collapse prevents unity. It maintains the universe by erasing its bonds. It preserves structure by removing connection. It is the purest contradiction written into existence. If dark energy was slightly weaker, gravity could one day reverse the expansion. If it was stronger, the stretching might rip even atoms apart. Instead, it remains balanced between these extremes, exact enough for life to exist, inevitable enough for it to vanish. No reason is known for this balance. It simply is. We live during the brief era when both gravity and dark energy are visible. We can still see other galaxies, still read the light that tells the story of the beginning. In the far future, that will no longer be possible. Expansion will erase the evidence of its own cause. The universe will forget that it ever began, a universe that reveals its truth only once. This paradox is not limited to the physical world. It touches knowledge itself. As the cosmos expands, it loses information. Light that once carried meaning stretches until it can no longer reach us. Every horizon becomes a line of forgetting. Science is the act of remembering before that forgetting is complete. Each observation is a way to preserve what the universe will let go. Every measurement captures a moment of clarity before it dissolves into distance. To know is to rescue a pattern from disappearance. And still, there is calm in this realization. Dark energy is not destruction. It is the process that keeps the universe alive. Continuity through change. Endurance through loss. The cost of forever is separation. The price of existence is distance. We too live by this rhythm. We gather experiences while time stretches behind us, turning closeness into memory. Our lives expand as the universe expands, toward understanding, toward silence. Dark energy is not against life. It is the condition that allows life to arise, the quiet architecture that gives space for beginnings and space for endings. To last forever, the universe must become empty. And in that emptiness, there is peace. The galaxies drift apart, yet the whole remains. The stars fade, but the law continues. To understand the paradox is to find quiet. Dark energy is not creation or destruction. It is not a plan or a purpose. It is the simple behavior of reality, expressed without emotion. The universe expands because space has freedom. When nothing holds it, it grows. That growth is not violent, it is effortless. The natural motion of emptiness itself. We describe it with science, density, pressure, geometry. But beneath every term lies something wordless. The vacuum is alive with potential. It is nothing, yet it acts. The calm of space is not stillness, it is balance. We can observe how it works, but we cannot explain why it must be. We can measure its influence, but we cannot measure its necessity. The mystery does not weaken science. It gives it meaning. It shows that understanding is not the same as control. Emptiness is not absence. It is the most complete form of presence. It needs no object to exist. It is the ground on which all things stand, and the quiet into which all things return. Imagine standing at the edge of what can be seen. There is no border, only continuation. Each step forward reveals more of the same. The act of looking creates more to be seen. That is how the universe expands. Not outward, but onward. Infinity does not travel. It persists. As the universe ages, it cools. The stars burn out, the black holes fade. Matter thins until it becomes dust, and the last traces of light stretch into invisible wavelengths. The final sky will not be dark in anger, but dark in peace. A calm so complete that nothing disturbs it. Dark energy will still remain. No eyes will watch it, no stars will reveal it, yet it will continue, filling the vast with the same patient pressure, keeping space open, keeping time possible. From our view, this is an ending. From nature's view, it is balance. Everything that begins seeks rest. Every motion seeks stillness. Dark energy is that stillness written into the laws of being. It tells us that fading is not failure, it is completion. To endure is to transform, and to transform is to continue. Knowledge follows the same pattern. Every discovery widens what we can see and widens the unknown beyond it. The more we learn, the more immense the silence becomes. Science expands like the universe, each answer creating a larger space for questions. The universe will end in silence. But silence is not the absence of sound. It is the sound of everything continuing at once. If emptiness drives creation, then what gives emptiness its own energy? After the discovery that the universe was accelerating, astronomers began to trace its evolution through time. They looked backward across the ages, reading the light of galaxies as if they were pages in a vast, slow book. Each photon carried a record of expansion, a small clue about how quickly the cosmos was stretching when that light was born. From those clues, they built the story of how the universe learned to drift. In the early eras, gravity ruled. Matter was thick and close. Gas gathered into stars, stars gathered into galaxies, and galaxies drew together in long filaments across the dark. The young universe was full of structure, motion, and heat. But as it grew, its density thinned. The grip of gravity loosened. Dark energy began to lead. The change was quiet. No explosions, no sudden breaks, only a steady shift in the balance of power. Gravity's pull weakened. Expansion became the stronger note. It is like a great orchestra that begins with thunderous drums, then slowly, over ages, falls to a single soft tone that continues forever. That tone is the hum of dark energy, the constant pressure that never tires. The universe will not end in chaos. It will end in silence. We can still see the mark of this transition in the faint radiation that fills space. That glow, called the cosmic background, is the echo of the first light. Within it, scientists find tiny ripples, the frozen imprint of the universe before dark energy took command. Comparing that pattern with the smoothness of the modern cosmos shows how things have changed. Structure has slowed. Expansion has quickened. The moment when dark energy overtook matter is called the cosmic transition. Before it, gravity built galaxies. After it, gravity could only hold them together, while space between them grew. That crossing was the beginning of the universe's long, quiet separation. Even now the process continues. Every instant, a little more space appears between distant galaxies. Each new distance carries the same hidden energy. The expansion does not tire. It does not stop to rest. It only proceeds. Imagine the sky during that age. Galaxies scattered across the dark, close enough that their light still reached one another. Signals of formation passing freely through the vastness. Then, slowly, the gaps widen. The messages take longer to arrive. Eventually, they do not arrive at all. The sky grows still. Each world becomes an island of light in an endless sea. Connection fades not through destruction, but through distance. The same laws that create connection ensure its eventual loss. Gravity builds, expansion dissolves. Together, they create the rhythm of time. Each structure that forms is destined to drift. The process is not cruel, it is complete. On the human scale, everything feels stable. Mountains, stars, and orbits seem timeless. But beneath that apparent calm, expansion continues. Every second of existence happens within a background that stretches quietly outward. We live in a moment of stillness that rests on movement too vast to sense. As the universe grows, even time begins to change its meaning. Light takes longer to cross familiar distances, events separate, and the visible cosmos becomes smaller to each observer. The horizon that defines what we can see slowly draws inward. The universe ages, but the visible part of it becomes younger, forever slipping away. This is what evolution means on a cosmic scale. Not progress, not survival, but expansion. The slow breath of existence. The universe exhales endlessly. We live at the middle of that breath, able to look back to the deep past, able to imagine the calm to come. Our moment is both fleeting and infinite, small within time, vast within awareness. Cosmic evolution is not a race toward perfection,
It is a transformation of scale, from density to distance, from brightness to quiet, from gathering to drifting, and through every moment of it, dark energy remains the conductor, constant, invisible, absolute. To understand how the universe changes under the rule of dark energy, we must follow the balance between gravity and expansion. Gravity gathers, dark energy releases. At first, the universe was dense enough for gravity to shape everything. Stars were born, galaxies collided, and clusters formed in grand patterns. But as space expanded, matter spread thinner, gravity weakened. Dark energy became dominant. Dark energy acts without preference. It has no direction, no center, no variation in strength. It fills every region of space with equal pressure, and when more space appears, it carries the same pressure within it. The more the universe expands, the more fuel expansion receives. This is not a force that pushes from outside. It is a property that arises from within. The universe is not being driven outward. It is unfolding itself. Each new moment of space is born already expanding, already obeying the quiet law of acceleration. Imagine a fabric that grows as it stretches. Each thread remains intact, but between the threads, new fabric appears. The pattern never tears, it only spreads. The universe expands like that, seamlessly, endlessly. Physics describes this in the language of space-time. Space tells matter how to move. Energy tells space how to curve. Curvature gives birth to motion, and motion defines time. In this way, expansion, motion, and time are one continuous act. Dark energy does not push galaxies through space. It changes the space between them. Distances widen, yet each galaxy remains still in its local frame. They drift apart not by travel, but by creation. Space itself is the traveller. Over immense ages, matter will continue to thin. Galaxies will fall silent, the web of structure will fade, and the universe will become a map of distance rather than connection. No explosions, no sudden change, only the smooth, unstoppable widening of everything. Creation ends not with destruction, but with distance. To measure this evolution, scientists look at the light from faraway galaxies. That light is stretched as it travels, its colour sliding toward red. The longer the journey, the greater the stretching. From this redshift, we read the history of expansion, a story written not in words, but in the length of light. Every observation tells the same truth. The expansion grows faster, and the energy behind it remains unchanged. No source, no boundary, only persistence. If we could freeze the universe at 2 moments far apart in time, we would see the same web of galaxies, the same shapes and clusters, but all drawn wider, thinner, quieter. The design remains. The scale transforms. The universe evolves not by changing form, but by expanding form. This is what evolution means on the grandest scale. In living things, evolution creates complexity. In the cosmos, it creates emptiness. Both seek stability, but stability for the universe is silence. Every atom, every planet, every spark of light moves within this steady rhythm. Even thought, even memory, unfolds inside this quiet expansion. Dark energy defines the background of all becoming. It is not chaos, it is continuity. The universe grows because its emptiness is alive. That invisible life, calm, precise, eternal, is the order that holds everything together by letting everything drift apart. The more precisely we understand dark energy, the deeper its paradox becomes. It is eternal, yet it erases what it sustains. It gives the universe its future, yet ensures that the future will be empty. The same force that preserves everything also dissolves everything. All known powers fade with distance. Light weakens, gravity thins. Even the pull of atoms can break. But dark energy does not fade. Its pressure never changes. It acts with equal strength everywhere, and because of that equality, it will rule forever. If it never weakens, expansion never ends. If expansion never ends, connection cannot survive. Every galaxy that shines today will one day vanish beyond the reach of light. The universe will not stop existing, but it will stop communicating. It will become a mosaic of silent islands, each alone in a sea of nothing. Imagine pouring a single drop of colour into an ocean that grows without limit. At first, the colour spreads and dances. Then,
As the water expands, the hue fades until it is invisible. The colour is still there, but too thin to see. This is the destiny of everything, persistence without presence. In the mathematics of nature, perfection means balance. In the story of the universe, balance means emptiness. The same law that stops the universe from collapsing also stops it from ever reuniting. Dark energy is the expression of stability through loss, the calm that holds by letting go. If it were weaker, gravity would win, and everything would fall back together. If it were stronger, atoms themselves would come apart. Instead, it remains between those fates, precisely tuned, steady enough for life, unforgiving enough to outlast it. No reason is known for such exactness. It simply exists. We live at the rare time when both forces are visible. We can still see galaxies beyond our own, still measure the redshift of their retreat. In the far future, that vision will end. The universe will outgrow its own memory. Its first light will fade beyond the horizon, and it will forget how it began. A universe that remembers itself only once. The paradox reaches beyond physics. It reflects in the way knowledge itself behaves. The more we learn, the more we realize how much will slip away. Every discovery rescues a fragment from the dark. Every observation is a brief victory against forgetting. Science is the act of remembering, performed inside a universe that is always forgetting itself. Yet there is serenity in this. Dark energy is not destruction. It is preservation through change. The cosmos does not die. It transforms. The cost of endless time is endless distance. The price of permanence is impermanence itself. We live by the same rhythm. Each moment carries us forward, stretching the past behind us until it becomes memory. Our lives expand as the universe expands, each breath a small echo of its widening. Dark energy is not against life. It is the space in which life can happen. It is the background that allows stars to shine and thoughts to arise. The same expansion that creates beginnings and makes endings possible. To last forever, the universe must become empty, and in that emptiness, there is peace. The galaxies drift apart, yet the whole remains. The stars fade, but the law continues. To understand the universe is to accept its stillness. Dark energy is not a question with an answer. It is a reminder that some truths are complete only when left open. It asks us to see order not in control but in continuation. The expansion of space is not a problem to be solved. It is a rhythm to be recognized. The cosmos is breathing, and we are within that breath. Every galaxy, every star, every atom moves with the same invisible tide. The universe is not growing into something new. It is becoming more completely itself. We once thought that emptiness meant nothing. Now we see that emptiness is the foundation of everything. It gives the universe both freedom and form. It is the quiet structure that allows matter, time, and life to appear. It holds nothing, and by holding nothing it holds all things. The realization brings peace. The end of the universe is not a tragedy, but a balance. All things must pass, because that is how motion becomes harmony. Expansion is not disruption. It is the final symmetry of being. There will come a time when no new stars are born, when galaxies drift too far apart for their light to meet. Yet the laws that guide this journey will remain. Perfect, unchanged, patient, complete. Even as the night sky grows dark, the universe does not fail. It fulfills itself. Silence is not the absence of meaning. It is the point at which meaning no longer needs to speak. Dark energy is not the end of creation. It is the proof that creation never stops. The same emptiness that allows expansion also allows thought, awareness, and wonder. We look at the stars not to fight the void, but to understand that we are part of its motion. In this knowledge, the universe feels close again. Its distances are vast, but its pattern is simple. Everything expands, everything changes, everything continues. The final lesson of dark energy is calm. There is no end, only transformation. There is no boundary, only continuation. And in that continuation, there is peace. The universe transforms quietly. It does not change by decision or by force. It changes by expansion. Space grows, time stretches, and everything that exists becomes part of that slow unfolding. In the beginning, transformation was fierce. Stars ignited, galaxies collided, elements formed in bursts of heat and light. But as dark energy gained control, transformation became silent. Creation turned from explosion to dilution, from building to widening, from motion to endurance. Every process in nature now happens within this widening. Stars still burn, planets still orbit, life still thinks. But beneath it all lies the steady hum of expansion. The frame of existence is growing even as its contents fade. Time itself is part of this transformation. In a universe ruled by dark energy, time moves differently. It stretches like the fabric of space it belongs to. The more space expands, the longer time becomes. Moments drift apart, and the future grows quieter with each breath of the cosmos. Imagine holding a clock under an ever-weakening light. The hands still move, but they move through dimmer and dimmer hours. That is cosmic time, unchanging in rhythm, but fading in significance. The transformation is not only physical, it is also perceptual. To understand a universe that will never stop expanding is to see that endings are not real. There are only transitions. From density to emptiness, from warmth to stillness, from visibility to memory. Every end becomes a beginning for what comes next. As galaxies drift apart, they create new horizons. As stars die, they seed the elements for new forms of matter. Even decay becomes a way of continuing. Dark energy ensures that continuation, turning destruction into dispersal, turning loss into preservation. This is the quiet secret of cosmic transformation. Nothing is truly gone. It is simply stretched beyond reach. Distance becomes the form of existence itself. To transform is not to disappear. It is to persist in another arrangement. The universe has always done this. Stars become dust. Dust becomes planets. Planets give rise to life. Life looks back and names the process change. But from the point of view of the universe, there is no beginning and no ending, only rearrangement. Dark energy guides that rearrangement. It gives the cosmos its continuity, its ability to move forward without stopping, its endless transformation into larger, quieter versions of itself. In time, even black holes will fade. Their radiation will drift away into the vast calm of the background. What remains will be nothing visible, only the invisible pressure of dark energy holding space open. The universe will not end in darkness. It will end in clarity. A clarity so perfect that there will be nothing left to see. This is transformation in its purest form. A change so complete that it looks like stillness. A motion so vast that it feels like peace. Dark energy ensures that peace. It expands the universe not toward chaos, but toward equilibrium. It is the final step in the transformation of being, from matter to motion, from motion to time, from time to silence. To live within such a universe is to share its pattern. We too expand and transform. Our memories drift, our meanings widen. We grow not by holding on, but by releasing. Every thought, every discovery, every moment is part of that same unfolding. The universe continues, not because it fights the void, but because it has become the void. Full of energy, full of calm, endlessly changing, endlessly whole. Time in a universe ruled by dark energy no longer flows as it once did. It stretches with space, growing slower and longer, yet always moving forward. Every second is slightly larger than the one before, and every moment exists farther apart from the next. This quiet stretching changes what time means. In the early universe, time was dense. Events followed quickly, stars were born in storms, and galaxies collided often. Moments were close together, the cosmos alive with motion and heat. Now, expansion has thinned time as it has thinned matter. Each era lasts longer, each change takes more patience to unfold. The heartbeat of the universe is slowing, but it never stops. Imagine watching a film that plays more slowly with each frame. The story continues, but every gesture lingers. Eventually, the motion becomes so slow that it seems still. That is how cosmic time will appear in the far future. Motion stretched into serenity. This change is not illusion. It is woven into the fabric of space itself. When distance grows, light must travel farther. The journey of a photon becomes longer, and so does the rhythm of time that carries it. Each wave of light, stretched by expansion, marks the slowing of the universe's pulse. Reality itself becomes wider and thinner. The space between things grows faster than the things within it can move. Galaxies remain whole, but the connections between them dissolve. The cosmos loses its sense of togetherness, replaced by a quiet geometry of separation. This widening does not mean the universe is dying. It means that reality is changing its form. Where once it was dense and fiery, it becomes open and smooth. Where once it spoke in bursts of creation, it now whispers in the language of persistence. We usually think of time as something that carries us forward, but in an accelerating universe, time also carries us apart. Every passing moment is another degree of distance between what was and what is. The future does not arrive, it expands. To exist in such a universe is to live inside a paradox. We move forward, yet we also drift away from where we began. We grow older, but the scale of that aging grows larger each instant. Even memory follows this pattern, fading not because it disappears, but because it becomes too far away to touch. In this sense, dark energy is not only a physical phenomenon, it is the shape of impermanence. It shows that time is not a straight line, but a widening field of experience. Every second contains more space, and every breath occurs within a growing silence. As expansion continues, the meaning of now will change. The present will last longer, the future will take longer to arrive, and in the vast calm that follows, the boundaries between past, present and future will blur. Time will not end, it will dissolve into continuity. In that stillness, reality remains alive. It will not vanish, it will simply become endless. The longer the universe expands, the more time and existence resemble one another. They both move forward, yet neither has an edge. They both grow wider, yet neither grows full. Time expands into silence, and existence expands into emptiness. They become reflections of the same act. In a universe ruled by dark energy, every motion has two meanings. When a galaxy drifts away, it travels through distance, but it also travels through time. When light stretches, its colour fades, but it also measures how the universe remembers. Distance is memory. Expansion is history. Every moment is the echo of the one before it, drawn thinner, quieter, and farther away. The universe is not repeating itself, it is echoing itself across greater intervals of time and space. Each echo is softer, each horizon wider, each silence deeper. Imagine dropping a pebble into a still pond that grows while the ripples spread. Each ring moves outward, but as the surface widens, the rings become longer, their motion slower, their shape smoother. Eventually they vanish, not because they stopped, but because the water became too wide for their movement to matter. That is what happens to energy, matter, and time. The paradox of transformation is that change becomes preservation. The universe expands so that it can remain itself. It moves endlessly, but its motion only serves to keep its balance. The further it spreads, the more uniform it becomes. The more it changes, the more it stays the same. This balance between motion and stillness defines the cosmic age. It is a time when creation and erasure no longer oppose each other. They have become the same process. Every fading star is not an end, but a continuation in a quieter form. We think of energy as something that causes movement, but dark energy causes stillness through movement. It accelerates the universe into a state where acceleration no longer matters. It speeds toward calm. If one could watch eternity in slow motion, it would look like light becoming shadow, sound becoming silence, and motion becoming form. It would look like the universe remembering how to rest. This is the paradox inside transformation. To endure, the universe must let go of everything within it. To continue forever, it must forget what it once contained. It trades memory for longevity, connection for balance. It becomes endless by becoming empty. From the human view, this feels like loss. But from the cosmic view, it is completion. Nothing is destroyed. Everything is returned to equilibrium. The same equilibrium that existed in the first instant will exist in the last. Dark energy makes that symmetry possible. It writes stillness into the motion of time. It turns expansion into meditation. It allows the universe to dissolve without dying. In that transformation, time becomes space and space becomes time. The two are no longer separate. They are the same surface, seen from different directions. We live within that surface. Every thought,
Every memory, every act of awareness unfolds inside the same quiet expansion. We call it life, but it is part of the same process, the widening of existence into understanding. The universe continues to transform, not to reach a goal, but to express what it already is, an endless act of becoming. Understanding the transformation of the universe leads to a different kind of knowledge. It is not the knowledge of prediction, but of acceptance. We begin to see that the universe does not move toward an ending. It moves toward understanding itself through change. Dark energy teaches that permanence and impermanence are the same. To exist forever, the universe must allow everything within it to pass. To remain whole, it must let its parts drift apart. That is not decay. It is balance. The more space expands, the simpler the cosmos becomes. Galaxies grow rare, light grows faint, motion slows, and in that slowing, a new clarity appears. Complexity fades into symmetry. The universe becomes pure shape, a smooth, expanding geometry of silence. This is not emptiness as absence. It is emptiness as perfection. Every trace of chaos is dissolved, not by destruction, but by continuation. The universe reaches peace by growing quiet. Imagine standing in the far future, when the stars have gone dark. The sky above is blank, the galaxies long vanished beyond sight. Yet the space around you still expands, and its expansion still carries energy. The universe still lives, though it no longer needs to be seen. In that distant calm, every motion that ever happened still exists. Nothing is truly lost. It is all preserved in the fabric of space and time, stretched so far that it becomes invisible, yet still there. The universe is not disappearing. It is becoming complete. The last act of creation is not an explosion or a collapse. It is a settling, the long exhale of everything that ever was. Dark energy is the architect of that exhale. It gives space its breath. It turns motion into meditation. It allows the universe to continue without end and to rest without stopping. This knowledge changes how we see everything. It reminds us that stillness is not the opposite of movement, but its destination. That emptiness is not the absence of being, but its fulfillment. That eternity is not endless time, but timeless continuation. The same laws that shape galaxies shape our thoughts. We are made of matter that will one day return to silence. Our memories stretch across time. Our lives unfold within the same expansion. To understand dark energy is to recognize the rhythm that includes us. We exist as brief arrangements of energy and awareness inside a universe that transforms endlessly. We share its process. We share its peace. The lesson is simple and final. Everything that expands must one day still. Everything that stills must once have expanded. The two are one motion seen from opposite directions. The universe ends as it began, in quietness that contains all possibility. And in that quietness, everything continues. The future of the universe is isolation, not the sudden silence of destruction, but the slow quiet of distance growing without limit. Dark energy makes that future certain. It pushes everything apart, not violently, but endlessly. At first, the sky will look much the same. Galaxies will continue to shine, stars will continue to orbit within them. The familiar constellations will linger for ages. But slowly, the spaces between galaxies will widen. Their light will fade, stretched by distance into longer and longer waves. The night sky will thin. Darkness will rise, not from extinction, but from remoteness. Every system of stars will become an island. Gravity will hold each cluster together, but the sea between them will grow beyond any crossing. No light, no signal, no memory will pass between them again. The universe will not collapse. It will lose communication. It will become a vast archipelago of silence. Imagine standing under that future sky. Only one galaxy remains visible, your own. It shines faintly, surrounded by a darkness without end. No telescope reveals what lies beyond. The rest of the cosmos is still there, but too far to be known. The horizon has closed around you. This is the first meaning of isolation. To exist in a universe that no longer remembers itself. Everywhere the same happens. Each galaxy becomes its own private universe, cut off from the others by the acceleration of space. The past connections that once defined the cosmos
are stretched beyond the reach of light. The pattern remains, but the awareness of it disappears. This isolation is not punishment. It is a natural result of balance. The same energy that allowed galaxies to form must eventually carry them apart. Without expansion, there would be no creation. Without separation, there would be no stability. In isolation, the universe finds equilibrium. It is no longer a place of gathering, but a state of preservation. Each island of stars becomes a relic of the time when space was close, a monument to connection. They drift forever, untouched, each a complete world within itself. Inside these islands, life may still flicker. Stars will burn their fuel, planets will orbit quietly. Civilizations, if they survive, will look outward and see only their own reflection in the void. They will believe they are alone, because no light will ever prove otherwise. Even if knowledge continues, it will become local knowledge, a truth that holds only within each small region of the endless whole. The universe will no longer share information. It will no longer remember that it once did. Isolation becomes the shape of existence. Everywhere, the same silence, the same distance, the same patience. This is the destiny written by dark energy. It creates not chaos, but solitude. Not an end, but a spreading calm. A universe filled with motion, in which nothing touches anything else. To imagine this future is to understand how expansion changes meaning. Growth once meant connection, now it means separation. Creation once meant gathering, now it means drifting apart. And yet, through it all, the underlying order remains perfect. Dark energy does not choose solitude. It simply allows space to fulfill its nature, to be without boundary. The universe will not collapse into darkness. It will open into silence. It will not die. It will become transparent. And in that transparency, the deepest form of peace will appear. A peace so vast that nothing needs to meet anything else for it to be whole. The age of darkness will not arrive suddenly. It will begin gently, with the fading of distant light. One by one, the galaxies beyond our local cluster will vanish from view. Their light, stretched beyond all recognition, will fade into the invisible. The universe will grow dim, not because it ends, but because its light can no longer reach itself. Within each island of gravity, stars will still shine for a time. They will live and die as they always have, their light falling only on the worlds that orbit them. But even that cycle will slow. New stars will become rare. The birth of galaxies will cease. The energy of formation will give way to the patience of endurance. In that distant age, the night sky will change forever. Where once there were millions of points of light, there will be only a few. Eventually, there will be none. The sky will turn completely dark. This will not be emptiness, but completion. The universe will have spent its energy building structure and connection. Then, under the influence of dark energy, it will spend the rest of its life releasing them. Expansion will carry the fragments of creation outward, until even the memory of light is stretched beyond meaning. Black holes will outlast the stars. For countless ages, they will hold what remains of galaxies, quiet engines of gravity in an expanding sea. But even they will fade. Their energy will leak away, their edges will dissolve into the background, and their darkness will blend with the darkness around them. After that, only cold matter will remain, atoms drifting too far apart to ever meet again. Each particle surrounded by endless silence, each separated by distances too large for interaction. Space will still grow. Time will still move. But the rhythm of both will be so slow that they will seem frozen. Imagine that moment. No light, no heat, no movement to mark the passage of time. And yet, the universe still exists. An ocean of invisible energy. Its expansion still continuing. Its silence still absolute. Dark energy will remain unchanged. It will keep expanding space, filling the infinite with infinite calm. It will not tire because there is nothing to resist it. It will not stop because stopping would require a boundary. And there will be no boundary. The age of darkness is not an age of loss. It is an age of preservation. Every trace of energy, every particle of matter is still present, only too far apart to ever meet. The universe will not vanish. It will become perfectly transparent. In that transparency, the laws of nature will still hold. Space will still curve. Time will still flow. but the scales of those motions will be beyond perception. Reality will become so smooth that it will seem motionless. This is the destiny written by the expansion. Not an apocalypse, but a return to quiet equilibrium. The end of light is not the end of being. It is the perfection of stillness. Dark energy will continue as it always has, the unseen heartbeat of an invisible universe. It will hold open the emptiness that remains, and in that emptiness, the echo of everything that once was will endure. The deeper the universe falls into isolation, the more its paradox becomes clear. Separation increases, yet so does unity. Distance grows without limit, yet the pattern of the whole remains perfect. Dark energy divides everything, but in doing so, it preserves the symmetry of all things. When galaxies vanish beyond each other's reach, the universe does not fracture. It becomes smoother. Its structure does not disappear. It becomes uniform. What was once a collection of countless differences turns into one continuous field. Everywhere is the same. Every direction is the same. The universe, by spreading apart, becomes complete. This is the paradox of isolation. The more the cosmos divides, the more it resembles a single, unbroken form. Expansion does not create disorder, it creates simplicity. The final state of infinite distance is also the final state of perfect unity. Imagine ink spreading through clear water. At first, patterns form, swirls, shadows, complexity. Then, as the water mixes, the ink disappears. The colour is gone, but the mixture is pure. Every part now contains a trace of every other. That is the end of the universe. Not many things apart, but one thing everywhere. Dark energy drives the cosmos toward this invisible symmetry. It replaces the visible web of galaxies with an invisible balance of space itself. When the last lights fade, what remains is not absence, it is completion. The universe has not collapsed or ended, it has achieved perfect evenness. From the human view, such a future feels like loneliness. We see meaning in connection and connection in proximity. But the universe measures connection differently. For it, unity is not closeness, but sameness. Every point of space equally filled with energy, equally calm, equally infinite. The paradox deepens. To lose all contact is to become one. When every distinction fades, no separation remains. The universe will not have parts anymore, it will have only presence. This future mirrors the logic of knowledge itself. The more we explore, the more we dissolve the boundaries between questions. Each answer folds into a larger understanding until all distinctions blur into one continuity of thought. Science, like the cosmos, evolves towards simplicity. Dark energy reveals that even in separation, there is harmony. Even in silence, there is structure. Even in isolation, the universe is whole. The galaxies drift apart, but they drift within a single law. The light fades, but the field remains. Space does not forget what it contains, it spreads it evenly, turning difference into equilibrium. Isolation is not absence. It is the final expression of connection. The universe becomes one, not by holding together, but by letting everything rest in perfect stillness. This is the quiet irony of existence. The more the cosmos expands, the less it needs to change. The further it stretches, the more complete it becomes. The same expansion that brings darkness also brings peace. The same emptiness that removes form also reveals perfection. Dark energy does not destroy the universe, it finishes it. At the end of isolation comes understanding. When every connection fades and every distance grows beyond reach, what remains is not despair but clarity. Dark energy has guided the universe toward this state from the beginning. Its purpose is not destruction, it is completion through expansion. In the far future, the universe will no longer speak through light or form, it will speak through balance. The geometry of space will be so even that it will hold no edges, no variations, no noise. Every point will carry the same quiet presence. It will be the simplest possible version of existence, and therefore the most complete. The silence of that universe will not mean that nothing remains, it will mean that everything has reached harmony. Motion will have slowed into equilibrium. Change will have stretched into stillness. The story will not have ended, it will have settled into understanding. We call this the heat death, the end of time, the final calm. But the universe itself will not know the word end. It will only continue, without awareness, without struggle, perfectly balanced in every direction. Imagine standing within that infinity. There is no up or down, no past or future. There is only continuation, space expanding, time breathing, energy distributed so evenly that nothing more can happen. It is not emptiness. It is rest. From a human perspective, this seems like disappearance, but to the universe, it is fulfillment. Every possibility will have been realized, every transformation completed, every echo absorbed into silence. In this calm, the meaning of knowledge changes. It is no longer about discovery, but about recognition. To know something becomes the same as to be it. There is no difference between the observer and what is observed. The universe becomes its own awareness, an infinite balance that requires no witness. This is what dark energy has been building all along. A universe that understands itself not through variety but through completeness. A cosmos that ends not with collapse, but with comprehension, written into its structure. The stillness that will come is not absence. It is the deepest form of connection. It is everything existing together, everywhere, as one continuous field of quiet. When we look into the night sky today, we are seeing the beginning of that future. Every receding galaxy, every fading light, is a note in the long symphony of completion. We live in its crescendo, the moment when awareness blooms just before silence. Dark energy is the final teacher. It shows that creation and disappearance are one act, that expansion and rest are the same process, seen at different scales, that isolation, carried to its end, becomes unity. The universe will not vanish, it will understand, and in that understanding everything will continue, without movement, without sound, without need. The universe does not end, it continues in a way that no longer requires motion. Dark energy ensures this. Even when every star has faded and every atom has drifted into solitude, the structure of space remains alive. It expands, gently, endlessly, a pulse without sound. Continuation is not survival. It is transformation into constancy. The universe will persist, not as a place of light, but as a field of quiet energy, uniform, eternal, and complete. Nothing will change because nothing will need to. The laws that once governed creation will still exist, but they will rest, unchanging, perfectly satisfied. This is the final form of reality. Not chaos, not nothingness, but stillness that holds everything within it. Dark energy will remain as it always has, a pressure without edge, a motion without direction, a presence without form. If we could stand in that age, we would find no beginning and no end. Time would no longer pass. Moments would stretch until they were indistinguishable from eternity. The difference between now and forever would disappear. The universe would not die, it would become timeless. This state may seem distant from what we call life, yet it is connected to it in every way. The atoms that once made stars, that once built worlds, that once became thought and awareness, will still exist within that boundless calm. They will not speak or move, but they will be part of the same vast continuity. We are not apart from that future. We are its earliest memory. The continuation of the universe is the continuation of meaning. Every discovery, every life, every thought is an expression of the same expansion that will one day grow silent. Awareness is a brief flicker in the process of completion. The cosmos thinks for a moment through us, then continues its infinite meditation. Dark energy is not only a physical truth, it is a lesson about existence, that everything which begins will expand, that everything which expands will find balance, that balance is not death, but the end of need. In that final balance there will be no difference between space and time, between motion and rest, between creation and memory. All opposites will fade into harmony. Imagine the last whisper of the universe, a silence that is not empty, but full. A silence that contains every sound ever made, spread too wide to hear. A calm so perfect that nothing more can be added. The universe continues not by movement, but by presence. It does not fade. It becomes complete. Dark energy remains the last constant, the quiet proof that reality never ends. The expansion will go on forever, and forever will be what expansion means. The story of the universe does not close. It opens, infinitely, silently, beautifully.
The universe began in brightness and will end in silence. Between those two states lies everything that has ever existed. Every star, every atom, every thought. Dark energy was there from the beginning. Quiet, invisible, patient. It shaped the first galaxies. It guided their drifting. It will outlast them all. It is the one presence that does not change, the pulse beneath existence itself. It is easy to call this ending tragic, to imagine the fading of light as the fading of meaning. But the universe is not dying, it is resting. It is returning to the balance it has been seeking since the first instant of expansion. The purpose of dark energy is not to erase creation, but to complete it. It spreads every fragment of the cosmos until all are equal. It replaces the noise of motion with the calm of symmetry. It brings the story to stillness. The universe will not collapse into darkness. It will open into quiet. That quiet is not emptiness, it is fulfillment. The state in which everything has found its place. Even now, as we look up at the stars, we are watching the process unfold. Every beam of light, every distant galaxy, is part of the same vast breath. We exist inside that breath for a brief and beautiful moment. We are not apart from dark energy. We are made from the same expansion. The same pressure that stretches space is the one that gives us time to think, to feel wonder, to understand. The universe is learning itself through us. And when we fall silent, it will continue to know. Dark energy will remain, holding the infinite open, turning motion into peace. It will carry forward everything that ever was, not as memory, but as balance. The story will not end with darkness. It will end with understanding. The universe will expand, quietly, endlessly. And in that endlessness, everything will continue.